Okay, I want to talk about this expression, all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. Or all hell's breaking loose. Or all hell's gonna break loose, right? It just means that suddenly there was chaos. Suddenly there was pandemonium, right? Everything went from normal to just out of control. Okay, so let's take a look at what got me thinking about this. Okay, let's. Okay, so it was this thing in my YouTube feed. Just in, all hell breaks loose at FBI whistleblower hearing between Jim Jordan and Wasserman Schultz, right? So I don't know exactly what happened. I didn't watch this video, but my guess was that, they were having a normal hearing, and then suddenly everybody started arguing, or things got crazy. Okay, so let's talk about some examples of all hell breaking loose. Okay, so you've got Pearl Harbor, right? So this Pearl Harbor happened at 7:55 in the morning. So you can guess that there were people just kind of waking up and eating breakfast, right? And maybe going to church, and then suddenly just like all hell broke loose. Means everything got just crazy, and it was just nuts, right? So now let's take a look at this bar fight. Now we don't know how it was. We can assume that things were normal before this happened, but then suddenly one guy punched another guy, and then all hell broke loose. Yeah, I've got this sped up a little bit. Everybody's shoving everybody, and people are punching each other, and all hell broke loose. Okay, so so let's talk about this. All hell breaks loose. It means suddenly there is pandemonium. Suddenly there is chaos. Okay, this now if you guys are not don't pay too much attention to what goes on in the U.S. Back in 1992, there was a guy who he was in like a car chase with the police, and this was back when there weren't that many. Everybody like didn't carry cameras all the time like they do now, right? Things went unnoticed, but then suddenly a lot of people had their phone cameras, right? So, but so anyway, what happened was or maybe it wasn't a phone camera. Maybe somebody just had a little camcorder. I don't know, but the cops were chasing this guy, and then for whatever reason he stopped. This guy's name was Rodney King, and the cops beat the hell out of him. It means they beat him. They were beating him with sticks and stuff, and it didn't look like he was really resisting too much. It really looked like police brutality, which is illegal. They're only supposed to use as much force as they have to use, just what's necessary. So anyway, then there came to be a trial of these police officers, and they were found not guilty by the courts, right? And this guy happened to be black, and the police officers were white, and they moved the trial. Hang on a second, let me take a drink. They moved the trial to an area where most of the jurors were white, I think, and I wasn't expecting it personally. Obviously I'm not black, and I was actually thinking that was actually too much force to be using, right? And I was hoping that they would actually be convicted, even though not because of their race, just because the police shouldn't be using that much force. and it didn't look like he was resisting, you know, and it looked like they were just beating him, right? So then they were found not guilty, right? Well, police have all kinds of ways of making these things look justified. Oh, we thought he was taking PCP and all of this stuff. They always do that kind of thing. But so PCP is a drug that, like, supposedly gives people this superhuman strength, and they can be hit really hard, and they just keep fighting. And but like, nobody ever takes it. I never met anybody who met anybody who ever took PCP. It was a drug like back in the 70s, and that was happened in the 90s, right? So anyway, it was so anyway, but that's a different story. But anyway, they beat the hell out of him, and then they were found not guilty. And I personally also was sitting there going, "What? How could that be? That's like." I didn't even think it was a racial thing. I thought it was a police brutality thing. Anyway, all hell broke loose in Los Angeles, right? And there was a big riot out there. Let's see, what do I got to do here? Okay. I sped this up a little bit too, just so you could sort of see it without wasting a lot of time, okay? There was fire, but this makes it look like it's you know, like localized, but it was not localized. The people just started setting things on fire, and in some ways, I think that this was just a reason for people to act up. You know, they wanted it. They were like, "Oh, cool, we can break stuff," you know. But it didn't. In another way, you know, and sometimes they were stealing things, and how is that, well, what does that have anything to do with justice? But I guess they were just expressing themselves to show their unhappiness, but it's kind of like they burnt their own town down. But I'm hoping this helicopter like goes for the big overview, because this makes it look like it was just in one neighborhood, but it wasn't really. It was in a lot of different neighborhoods, but mainly they targeted stores. But all hell broke loose for a few days, and then the police were overwhelmed. There was just too much happening for the police to fight it by themselves, you know, because usually things are pretty orderly in the world, and they can handle this stuff. Okay, it was taking a long time there. I want you guys to see the angle of the cities, because it sort of looks like there's nothing really going on here, but it will pan over to other parts of the city. See, it's showing like other neighborhoods. Anyway, all hell broke loose, like in LA for a while. Okay, I guess okay, all hell broke loose. Okay, well, I think that's pretty good. That's enough explanation. Okay, so you could use that. Let's say, for example, you're having a nice peaceful meeting at work, and then you know, somebody disagrees with somebody else, you know, and somebody gets upset, and then somebody tries to say, "Hey, calm down, and you shut up," you know, and things become like crazy for a while, you know. And so you're talking about that meeting, and you say, "Yeah, what happened? Well, Margaret was criticizing Mike's idea for the new project, and then that's when all hell broke loose, right, at the meeting." So you can imagine, how does that happen? So hell is generally a contained place, right? And we only have these, like, hell is like down there, I guess, maybe metaphorically speaking. And so basically, let's imagine that some opening to hell, you know, happened, right? For whatever reason, it broke loose, and then all kinds of bad things happen. So anyway, this is a pretty common expression. Could be used in the case of a riot, or it could be something like in the case of a meeting, or you could even use it in a way like with your family, right? So, dad is taking care of the kids, right? Dad's taking care of the kids while the mother goes to her parents' house or something like that, and then and then one kid takes the other kid's toy, and then they start fighting over it, and so the husband's telling the story when the wife gets home, and they were playing pretty good, and then Tommy took Susie's toy, and then that's when all hell broke loose, right? And it doesn't always have to be so serious, right? So anyway, I will talk to you on the next idiom.